Howdy, folks, and welcome to another day in the Milky Way. Tonight, we got another great show for you. By gosh, tonight we're going to be talking about magic triangles. Go figure. Anyway, we all know about magic circles, but tonight we're going to talk about magic triangles. What do you know about magic triangles? We're going to be looking at Franz Bardon's book. Tonight, we're going to be talking the practice of magical evocation. How are you going to know that? Without doing some magic, right? So tonight, we're going to go with triangles. Who would have thought that a triangle would be magic? But, as always, we have triangles. And that's a good thing. I don't know what you know about triangles, but they're out there. And there's lots of triangles. We see them all the time. You know, what is a triangle? It's a, three-sided object on all corners. And we will try to investigate it through the eyes of Franz Bardon. And so let's begin with that. Okay. This here is chapter 4 in his book. Now, we've talked about other things. We've talked about circles, and we've talked about magical aids and magic in itself. We've gone down the road of the Kabbalion, meaning words, and words are magic too. But tonight we're going to go to see what a magical triangle can do. All right. So as always, I got some good stuff to share with you. And so, let's see. Why is this not present? It's one of those times when things aren't working quite right. Present. But, I don't know why. Share screen. I should be sharing screen. I don't know. Why is this not? Oh, there we go. Had it on the wrong thing. Well, look at that. We got a triangle. There's our triangle. If you haven't ever seen a triangle, you'll know what a triangle looks like by looking at that. That's a triangle. Reminds you of the pyramids or something. So let's get right into this. In contrast to the magical triangle, the magical circle is the symbol of infinity, of a bond with God, the Alpha, the Omega. The triangle represents the symbol of manifestation, the symbol of everything created, in short, of everything that has come into being. It would be impossible to do any ritual or ceremonial work without the proper knowledge of the symbolism of the magic triangle, as well as all other magical aids. In all the books on ritual evocation or the grimoires, you will find the general statement that the particular spirit, being, or power summoned is to manifest in the triangle. However, the manifestation of a being in a triangle is only one aspect of ritualistic magic, because a being cannot completely manifest itself if the magician does not understand the entire symbolism of the magic triangle. In order to understand the symbolism properly, one must fairly well be conversant with the Kabbalah and have complete knowledge of the secret of the number 3. The more that is known about the analogies of the mystical number 3, the more the profoundly we can look at one penetrate into the symbolism of the triangle and what it represents, and hence the summoned power may manifest more easily. It would exceed the scope this work were I to detail the entire symbolism of the number 3 and all its correspondence. However, I shall offer some encouragement that may serve the magician as a guiding principle. All right, stop sharing. Now, don't you remember we talked about that analogies. We've talked about the Kabbalah. So we went over some of this stuff in the recent videos. So if you didn't catch that, go back and review those. The number threes, we've done that work with Manly P. Hall. All these guys were kind of like reading out of the same book in their own version. So, they have a different look at everything. But all in the same, it's still the same. In order to do rituals and things like that, you got to have a magic circle. You make your triangle. You got to have knowledge of the particular things, especially the Kabbalah. You need to study these books. Just don't be going out there and doing some crazy magic shit if you don't even know what it does. All right? That's my warning to you people. So, there we go. Let's get back into this. Whew, look at that. And I'm sure you all recognize that symbol. Above all, the triangle is a diagram of three-dimensional world. It, by which we understand the mental, astral, and physical or material worlds. Well, can we talk about this triangle right here? A little bit. Let's talk about this. Look at what we got. We got the serpent, we got the triangle, and the all-seeing eye. Plus, there's bricks. So, let's see what that has. Any power that is summoned and that is projected outside into the physical plane must pass through the three planes mentioned above. The diagram shows an equilateral triangle where the tip of the triangle faces upward, similar to a pyramid. There we go. There's our pyramid. Okay, and it gives us into understanding when looking at the triangle from above that from one point of view, two powers diverge sideways into two different directions, and each power ends up in a line that is its restriction. The overall picture of these two diverging lines represents the two universal powers, which are the plus and the minus, positive and negative. Electricity, magnetism. You know what I'm talking about. The two lines are then united by a baseline. This symbolizes the manifested causal world, which from an astrological point of view characterizes itself as Saturn, as the number 3. On the mental plane, the number 3 symbolizes the will, the intellect, and the feelings. On the astral plane, it symbolizes power and lawfulness. I bet you guys didn't know that. Oh, and life. Lawfulness and life. And the physical plane, as already mentioned, the plus and the minus and the neutral. Sounds like they're talking about an electricity plug-in. Positive, negative, and neutral. Therefore, the triangle, with its lawfulness, reflects itself in all things and in every respect, because it is the beginning of everything created and the primary cause of everything comprehensible. The number 3, the symbolism of the triangle, plays one of the most important roles in all religions. For example, in the Christian religion, it represents the Trinity: God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Ghost. In Hindu teachings, it represents Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, the creator, the preserver, and the destroyer. Hundreds more of these symbolic analogies could be listed, but in this case, it was left to magicians' own discretion to penetrate more deeply into symbolism. Let's see. I'm sure you guys have seen this stuff. Look at that. Symbolism, even in the clouds. For the magician, the equilateral triangle always remains the most important and worthwhile thing to know, because the equilateral triangle represents a universal symbol in magic next to the magic circle. Let's go back to the magic circle. You've all seen this kind of stuff. Or maybe this. Magic circle. A magician could never summon a particular power or begin into a circle. It must be in a triangle, because a circle represents a symbol of infinity, not the symbol of manifestation. This magician should never ignore the basic concept. However, he could summon a being or a power into a form or design other than the triangle, which is often the case with lower beings. But when it comes to higher powers, the higher beings, a magician will never omit to have the proper diagram drawn. In this case, the triangle right next to the circle, the aspiring magician now knows that the circle is a diagram without limits, whereas the triangle is the first diagram that is limited by space unto which a being or a power, etc., can be projected. When the magician is engaged in magical evocation, he must be certain that the triangle is large enough for the power entity that has been evoked, so that it does not protrude or tower over and beyond the triangle. He must also be certain that during the evocation, the powers that he invokes into the triangle are completely obedient to him, and that he himself, while standing in the circle, represents a higher superior power, and that through the circle he also represents a divine universal concept. That is why a being that is summoned into the triangle cannot leave the triangle without the specific permission of the magician, or when expressed in the proper terminology of magic without abdication. As for the shape of the triangle, it does not necessarily have to be an equilateral triangle. It can also be an acute or right-angled triangle. When the magician works outdoors, he can also draw the triangle with a magic sword or dagger in the same manner as described when drawing the circle. The triangle must be made of the same material as the circle. Should the triangle be embroidered or sewn on flannel or silk, then the triangle must be embroidered or sewn on the same cloth as well. The triangle has to be traced magically with the consciousness of the astral and spiritual hand, and not with the physical hand, similar to the procedure described in the previous chapter. The magic circle, otherwise the triangle, will be ineffective, and it will not exert the expected influence upon the summoned power or being. During this procedure, the magician must mediate that the manifestation of the summoned power or being will come about through the triangle at the highest symbol. The magician will soon conclude that the more he knows about the symbolism of the triangle, the greater the influence will be, or he be able to exert upon the power or being summoned. Sounds like this one. What are you summoning today? Furthermore, a great advantage is offered by the certainty of the magician when drawing the triangle. He must be fully conscious of the fact that he has already bonded with the divinity within himself, which is called forth through meditation or through imagination. Therefore, the magician does not draw the magic triangle himself. Instead, the divinity he has called forth within himself is doing so. It is highly recommended that the triangle be traced with a magic weapon each time it is used, to constantly receive the analogy in the triangle itself and in the consciousness of the magician. In the case of a triangle that is drawn on paper or embroidered or sewn on cloth, the lines of the triangle are gently traced with a weapon. In the case of a magical operation that does not require a magic weapon, the triangle can be traced either with a magic wand or the index finger. Well, that's pretty cool. We got lots of triangles and circles. What are they trying to tell us? That looks like a complex one. Now we got ones in space. That looks like a triangle in space. Numbers and triangles. Usually a seal or talisman of the being to be summoned is placed in the center of the triangle and is done because the seal or talisman express the symbol of significance of the being. In another chapter of this book, I describe, Franz Bardon does, the detail of how to make these seals and talismans. A competent magician can make an appropriately charged fluid condenser into the triangle instead of a sigil. The fluid condenser is to be poured into a shallow container or saucer. The magician can also use blotting paper that is impregnated with fluid condenser. Ooh, that sounds good. And which has to be charged accordingly for the purpose of manifestation of the particular power or being. It is left to the individual magician as to which of these two possibilities he cares to choose. These details do, however, depend upon the kind of power or beings the magician wants to contact and make manifest. In initiation into hermetics, fluid condensers, liquid or solid, simple or complex, are fully described in accordance with their purpose and analogy. The magician may use either simple or complex fluid condensers. The magic triangle is thus the connecting diagram for the power or being that the magician wishes to contact. At times, the triangle serves several purposes. First of all, it serves to establish contact with the desired being. Secondly, it evokes a particular being from the microcosm or macrocosm into the physical plane. Thirdly, it condenses or manifests a particular being into such a degree that the entire entity can even call forth effects on the physical plane. All this depends upon the wish of the magician, whether the being or power that is summoned is to be effective on the mental, astral, or physical plane. In accordance with the principles set forth in this book, and with which the magician is by now quite familiar, any being or power can only be effective in the sphere into which it is summoned and condensed. For example, a being that is projected into the mental sphere cannot influence the physical world. It can only be effective on the mental plane. The same applies to the astral and physical planes. The teacher will find in the following chapter more details regarding the secret of materialization from one sphere to another. Well, there we go. Magical triangles. Who would have thought? All right. Alrighty now. Well, I'm hoping you're enjoying this. This has been pretty cool. Magical triangles. Well, you know what you got to do is go ahead and give it a whirl. But remember, when you're making a circle, you got to have you can use a triangle now inside the circle to catch your manifestation or your being that you're going to summon. But I warn you, be careful. You just don't go summoning beings that you don't know anything about. That's powerful magic, people. Remember, if you're reading the book, read the book first and then practice slowly. Try to do a good job. Don't bring things into this world that don't belong. You know, you want to be a wizard? That's the first thing about being a wizard, is having the wisdom to be the wizard. Okay, everyone. Well, thank you for coming. It's been a good night. Remember, go out and do something nice. You know, during this Christmas season, we're celebrating giving and the gift of giving, and not so much of receiving. But there are people who should be receiving our gift of giving, if that makes any sense. So give to those who you want to give to. And we're sponsoring Doug Stack. His information will be below in the description. Now give him something if you want. Give him nothing if you want. Send him energy. If you don't have anything, don't send anything if you can't afford it. Give to your neighbor. But here we're encouraging you to give to Doug Stack because he's a hardworking guy who's trying to make it. And eventually he will. And he'll be able to give to others. But for now, we are going to leave it at that. Remember, it's about helping your neighbor, doing something that you would want to have done to you. Remember, it's about being the frequency you want to receive, everyone. Remember to go out and do that. Do something nice. I love y'all. Thank you for coming. We'll see you soon, right here on the Milky Way Soul Tribe. Be the frequency you want to receive. Peace, everybody.